Good morning, America. Hope you're well. Sorry, I just had, I put on some one lot positions just as a little proxy for what I felt what direction the market could go in, but I closed them now. I didn't want that to distract anybody. I do that. I put on tiny little positions, and then if I think, oh, there's something there, then I'll add to it. But anyway, good morning, America. Let's see. It's Tuesday. It's the 28th of January, and we got 4 trading days left of the of the month of January. What I think is interesting is the daily chart in the Dow. That enormous turnaround yesterday. Let's get rid of this, and I imagine we're going to see continuation. NASDAQ just went down and took out the stops below the overnight range. Classic move. So there you have it. You are as up to date as I am. I hope you're well wherever you are in the world. And I think we are pretty good to go. Just need to launch a couple of charts in different instruments. Almost there, ladies and gentlemen. Normally I do this in advance, but I had a few issues with logging on to the OBS software. But it should all be working now. So what I thought we could do while we're waiting for a signal is that we could take a look at something I like to do, which is what worked yesterday. So if we're looking at yesterday's open in the Dow, it was essentially it was straight up. And if that's anything to go by, then what we want to do is we're going to go, well, we would like to be buyers of the Dow here. Now, how do you buy a market that is sort of in a big push up? I think I've suggested this before, but you could do a 38% retracement, which means that you want to be a buyer here. That would require a stop loss at 482. We're currently trading at 735. So why don't I try that? I'll show you here. So I got a stop loss currently at 639, but I will move that stop loss up a little bit. And hopefully this market is as bullish as the daily chart does suggest. I'll leave that stop loss there for the time being. Now, if we go over to the NASDAQ and look at a 5-minute chart, NASDAQ too had a big push up yesterday. Doesn't seem like it's just doing that today. Let's just have a look at the Dow. So we had a big push up. I wasn't more in doubt on the bullish side of the NASDAQ today because I felt that NASDAQ didn't produce the kind of bounce that we saw in the Dow. So the Dow is currently making a modest 1 point. But I'm hopeful we'll see a push higher. But the NASDAQ didn't have anywhere near the bounce that we saw in the Dow. So whilst the Dow actually took out the Friday high, NASDAQ is nowhere near. And I'm just wondering if there's a situation with margin calls going on in the NASDAQ. And that's where I think it becomes important to look at the swing lows. In particular, the lows that we saw yesterday around the close. I think if 20,960 caves in the NASDAQ, I don't think that's going to be good news, and I think it would mean a retest of the lows that we saw during the European hours. But we can look at the daily chart instead, and it sort of gives you a better idea. In fact, what we could do, I think I'll take my profit in the Dow because I want to show you something. God, I forgot to put this in Telegram. Sorry about that. And I was just trying to do a double top, but I got excited about showing you something here. So this is the true story of the NASDAQ. This is the NASDAQ without the overnight ranges. I think that's a far more interesting story. So if we're looking at where the NASDAQ is trading right now, it's currently trading at 21,092. So if I take a horizontal line, it's over here, 21,092. So we're trading right there. And what I'm saying is that if this low at 21,000 gives in, I think that I personally think that the NASDAQ would be at high risk of testing the low end of the range. You can begin to draw some channels if you want. It's a little harder when you haven't got the overnight range because you haven't got so much data, but I'm sure you can draw a channel like I can, just as well as I can, but it will be something like this, I imagine, right? That's what I would, that would be my best guess. And so I personally don't think I want to be buying any dips in the NASDAQ. And that's not because I'm in any shape or form is discounting the bull market that we do have going. But it doesn't look so healthy to me to have this pattern here if that low goes, and that low being 20,974. And then we're not so far from there. That's my take on the NASDAQ. That there's nervousness. My account is doing okay, but you always feel like you can do better, don't you? Why did I get out of this trade? Why didn't I let this one run? Why didn't I get out of that one earlier? Curse of hindsight. If you ever have a really strong feel about something, you could always just entertain the idea of, you know what, I'm just going to sell the absolute lowest stake size at all. I think the lowest stake size you can do here is 0.5. The stop loss since the open, we have gone from 21,190, so we're already down 150 points in the NASDAQ. Just going to try something. Don't know if it will let me. No. I think there is a minimum size of 0.5, I imagine. Yeah, there you go. This is this is not actually an official trade. I just want to see what the stake size was. So the absolute lowest that I can trade is 0.5. Anyway, looking at the 15-minute chart, you have a very, very bearish first 15 minutes. Now, what was interesting to me was that I deployed that strategy earlier today in the DAX, where the DAX had a very weak open, and I bought right there. My goal was to get 21,300, but I had to settle for 308. So the Dow is exploring either side of the ranges. We've taken out the overnight range high, and I imagine that we'll take out the low as well. So stand by, please. I'm buying the Dow here at 46. So aggressive school run is triggered. It's identified by these lines here. I'm gonna scalp out of my Dow. I just wanna be on the sideline. I'm feeling a little bit. I didn't like that. I like the discipline of just getting in, but it didn't feel like that was my kind of trade. NASDAQ looks a lot more interesting. I heard this story about a pit trader, and I just want to tell you the story because I think it's funny. I have 13,700 in the account. It'd be lovely to get to 14,000 by the end of the month, because who wouldn't like to have a 40% month? But I heard about this story about a pit trader in the S&P pit show called Luis Borsellino. He's a rather famous pit trader. And I don't know if the story is true or not, but here's the story. He didn't really fancy trading, but his wife really wanted a fur coat, and he thought, I'm going to go into the pit and I'm going to see if I can make enough money to buy that fur coat, which of course he could have done a million times over without going into the pit. But I guess it was just the principle of it, saying the fur coat was $5,000, and so the story goes, he goes into the pit to make $5,000 for this fur coat, and he ended up walking out of the pit having lost $80,000. You know, don't hold me too much on the numbers. It's more the sentiment of the story. It's really dangerous to have that mindset of, I'm just going to reach a particular threshold. And I caught myself, or my mind, just going, ooh, wouldn't it be nice to make another couple of £100? So it's a nice even round 14,000, 40% for the month. And I have this mind that is somewhat trained to create immediate antidotes to whatever my uncontrolled mind presents at me. It doesn't always work, I'll tell you that. Although I'm very disciplined with cakes and ice cream and alcohol and cigarettes and things like that. There's just things I don't do. And also with exercise. But sometimes when it comes to, I'm just going to take profit because I'm really a bit tired and I didn't sleep well. I kicked myself today, and I've been kicking myself all day for getting out of the DAX here at 78. Now, I'm sure you'll understand why I got out, bought down here, rode it up to the top. But when it got up here, it's not like it was beginning to make any overtures to wanting to go lower again. And when I saw it trade up here, I was really upset. I was really annoyed with myself. And then when I saw it come down again, going, I didn't make such a big mistake. And then I saw it up here and I thought, for sake. And then I almost felt a bit of joy that it was now back down to my original exit. But that's just stupid. It's just so, that's why I wrote yesterday and again today, my God, profit taking is the hardest part. It's the hardest part about trading. And I imagine Luis Borsellino going in there going, I'm just going to make $5,000 so I can buy my dolly, my wife, so I can buy my wife a fur coat. And he walked out $80,000 poorer, or whatever the numbers are. I don't know. I still think that it's a funny story that I can relate to. Saw a really interesting podcast with a gentleman called Peter Attia regarding testosterone. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there's a immensely interesting case study out of Cass Business School about testosterone levels in traders and their decision making. But what I felt was really interesting about the Peter Attia podcast, he specifically asked, how can human beings address a low testosterone count? And he said, well, the first thing he said was sleep. Basically sleep, deep sleep, and recovery. I thought that was interesting because that's one of my pet peeves, is that when I get enough sleep, I get unbearably annoying and funny and hilarious, and I got so much excess energy. But when I'm sleep deprived, which I currently am, I admit, but I am. I am for some reason not sleeping well. I think I got some degree of anxiety going on in my body, and it causes me to lie at night thinking about solutions. And yes, they are trading related. Of course, they're trading related. And it's to do with research and scaling up size. And I'm finding that my decision making is impaired. And I'm finding myself being really quite unforgiving to myself. Why didn't I take this trade? So I suppose that's the one good thing about this broadcast, is that it isn't pretending to be something it is not. I feel that it deals with the very same issues that other traders will experience, maybe to a larger degree, maybe to a smaller degree, or maybe just occasionally. I've been giving serious thought to how this year will pan out. And I think it was a good decision of me not to stream on Wednesdays, because I just needed that break away from it from time to time. But I think where I'm hardest at myself is taking profits too soon, or not taking trades. So for example, not taking the school run here, it doesn't sit well with me. And I know that when I'm not taking the trades, it's because I'm tired. And then, truthfully, I shouldn't be trading. Not maybe I shouldn't be trading. It's just, if you're not decisive, you're not having that bang, oomph, well, then your decision making is impaired and you're likely to take the wrong decisions. Now, I only took one trade this morning, and I felt it was a good trade, but at that point I was still sort of relatively rested. But from then onwards, I can't say that I'm jumping up and down for joy over my decision making today. I don't. And so maybe I should just honor that and go, okay, well, look, it's a pretty good day anyway. I can't remember what the account started at this morning, but I'm certainly up on the day. I think I made £300, so that's 3% in the DAX. But it doesn't help my mood to know that it could have been 400 more, so it could have been a 7% day. And that's just how my mind works. Oh, for fuck's sake. There's this relentless pursuit of excellence, which is a really dangerous trait to have in trading, because you're dealing with unknown quantities. You're like trying to direct which way the mosquito is going to fly. And for all intents and purposes, it's just an impossible task, since the best you're doing is just to try and play the odds. But then when you don't even have the decision or the willpower to execute a predetermined entry, such as school run, well, then that has nothing to do with the market and everything to do with what's going on internally. Yeah. So I was a buyer of the Dow down here at 648, and now it's 100 points higher. I didn't take the school run NASDAQ at 164. Now it's 70 points higher, 60. To me, that is a symptom of something underlying. But I want to be honest about it, because if I can't be honest about that without fear of people ridiculing me, then what is the purpose of doing streams and podcasts if you can't learn from it? That's the whole point of it. And there's also a degree of accountability in it from me going, I don't want to go live on YouTube for the world to see and not be rested. But sometimes you're not in control of that. Anybody with young children will be able to testify to that. So rather than hogging up your ear bandwidth, I think I'm just going to retreat and accept that I wasn't the eye of the tiger. It was willy-nilly trading, and it was nervous, and it's not really what I stand for. It's not what I want to be known for. It's not what I represent, but it is at times inevitable. I know the root cause of it. You could say, great trade to be a buyer down here, sure, but wouldn't it have been nice to have written it all the way up here instead of taking 10 points? Great that you researched the school run. Absolutely, I agree with you. But shouldn't I actually still be in for a 70-point winner in the NASDAQ? That's my point. It's what I talk about at length in many places, but I am not immune to it. The will to act on the knowledge we possess is far greater than just having the knowledge by itself. So I'm going to sign out and wish you the very best. I'm going to see if I can rest up until Thursday. Right now, it just pains me to see the market do what I thought it would do, and I'm not making money on it. So I will, not proverbially, but metaphorically, I will leave the pit with a few dollars in my pocket, but nowhere near what it should be. Hopefully you can understand what this rambling was all about. It may hit you sooner than you think. So rest up. Thanks for your time and patience today with me. And I will see you Thursday, not tomorrow. I don't trade Wednesdays. Yes, I do actually trade Wednesdays, but I decided that trading day is just for me. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.